Okay, today we are talking about the no-cut method for propagating plants. I'm going to show you how we do that on this plant, and then we're going to take a look at 3 other plants that we already have cooking in the oven where we did this 3 weeks ago. Let's get right into it. The no-cut method is essentially rooting a plant before you cut the node. And we do this to prevent any surprises. Maybe you're unsure if the roots are going to take, and cutting the plant, maybe it's a rare plant, maybe it's just a special plant that you really care about. You don't want to take the risk of that plant dying or not rooting after you cut it. So we'll root it beforehand, then we can check the roots, make sure that they are actually rooting in the moss, and then we can cut it and propagate it, either put it into the same pot or put it into another pot. So we're gonna get started with this green dragon. It's got some roots up top here that are pretty awesome. Generally, we would consider these roots really good and safe. You could probably cut this if you wanted to, but for this video, we are going to do the no-cut method. I've already got our pot holder kit set here, and you can see I set a few of these. I've already set this to the size of the cup that I want to use, and that lets me just pull this off so I can do all the work that I need to do with the roots beforehand, and then everything just ties up nicely. So we set the pot holder kit beforehand, and then we know we're in for an easy ride. I'm going to add some of my moss, and then I'm going to get my roots into the cup. And now I'm going to secure my cup. There it is. So that's the first step of the no-cut method. It's very simple. All I'm going to do now is add just a little bit more moss. And then I will just follow standard propagation best practices. Make sure that it stays moist, but not too wet. We just wait. We wait about a week, sometimes 2, whatever you're comfortable with, and then we'll be able to top cut and put this back into either this pot or another pot. And that's it. That's it for the setup. It's super simple. Really, it's just more waiting than anything. Now that we have this done, let's get into the other plants that we're really excited about, and let's open those up together, and let's see the results over the past couple weeks. All right, this plant is a philodendron Grazielae. The trellis we're not really all that happy with. So that was really the motivation for propagating this plant, is that it was growing erratically over the course of like 6 months. We weren't really sure what the end result was going to be, and we were honestly just kind of taking it one leaf at a time. It's gotten to a point where it's looking very healthy, but the trellis we're not very happy with, so we would like to cut this at a point and then build a stronger trellis and go from there. These roots I'm really looking forward to. They're all in moss, so let's get right into it. Let's take these pots off. I have to keep one hand on the trellis, one hand on the plant. Okay. Huge mess. Oh yeah. That worked. Oh! Look at all of this. Okay, so that's one. So we can definitely cut from here. Let's see where else we can cut from. Oh, here's another one. This one is... Oh yeah. That's good. Okay, and then here we have one. I think I was going for this root, but that didn't take. And that's fine because we have 2 others. So now let's make the decision of where we want to cut from. So we can top cut here, and then we could get another cut out of this. So this top section, we're gonna send that right into the pot. Here's our cut. I can cut here. That's a relief. Like, that's seriously a relief. That trellis was driving me crazy, and now we get to start over. I want to pot this up a little bit. We'll go for a bigger pot. I'm sure we could fit it in here, but I think the issue that we're really having with this trellis is just that we're trying to stuff these bases into this pot, and it's just barely too small. So I think we're gonna get another pot, clean up a little bit, and then we'll tackle that. So we have a new pot. And then I have over here the top cut, and I've already got it settled on this trellis. So this way I'm just going to put some dirt in here. I'll transplant this. I'll transplant here. We'll fill the rest of the dirt in, and we're off to the races. First step. Oh, wow. It's been a busy little plant. I wonder it was growing so vigorously. So I'm just making sure that the trellis is in the center of the pot. Let's see how this piece matches up. Looks like that's gonna match quite nicely. Last thing I need to do is just take care of this piece. Side note, doing things like this is how we got ourselves into trouble. Just putting a piece on and saying, that's fine. We finally got this plant behaving how we want, how we expect it to, but we're not happy with it. And that's like the trickiest spot to be in when it comes to, I guess, any sort of gardening. Is like, it's good, better than it was, but I'm picky and I'm just still not happy, but now I gotta figure out what to do. I gotta go through all that stuff again. Just take a breath and realize nothing's forever. So that's a top cut back into this trellis. The other plant, we decided we want to pot it by itself, so we're gonna have another plant. That's for another video though. Let's get on to the next one. So we have 4 cups that we place the roots in. 3 of these, I just used perlite. This was a bit of an experiment. I've never done it before. I wanted to see how perlite works for this. And then we have 1 with moss. So the hope is that some roots on here have rooted, and then that will determine where we end up cutting this plant from. So let's get right into it. Remove this and try to not make too much of a mess. I'm making a huge mess. Definitely roots, but I wouldn't call these ready for dirt roots. They're more like water roots, which is pretty much what I expected to see with the perlite. I can see down here these roots are pushing all the way to the bottom of the cup. Generally with perlite, the water is going to sit at the bottom and then wick up towards the top. So perlite may have not been the right choice for this. And here we have one, you can see nothing. So if we would have cut the plant there and tried to root these, it may not have taken. Another long one. I don't know if I would stick that right into dirt either. So, perlite, let me down. Oh, what do we got here? So this one I had the pot all the way around the plant. We're in moss, and we're stuck to the roots here, and we're fuzzy. I wouldn't go for that one either. What do you think?
I would put all of them back into moss and wait a couple more weeks.
Yeah. So that's the value of doing this. We can just go back. We can try again, and we're not losing all of this growth here. That would be bad. So we'll try that one again. On to the next one. It's literally a big one, but it's also the one plant that is both mine and Lauren's favorite. That's a big deal. This is the same story as the last one, the Grazielae. The trellis is good, not great. Neglected it a bit, again, because this plant and that plant came from the same nursery. They didn't really take well to our greenhouse. We've got 3 pots on here, and the plant goes well out of frame. Let's get into it. This one, we really want it to work. And the first one, bupkis, nothing. It does look like this root tried to start anew, and if we left that on there for a little while longer, it probably would have rooted in there. We just need one to take though. We just one. We just want one to take. It's another one. I saw a Reddit post and someone was saying that they chopped variegated Adansonii. The results were brutal. Like some of them didn't root, some of them reverted. And it really made me think about this plant, and I was really interested to see these results. You know, what happens for us? Because it's the same scenario where we could cut it and just, whatever happens, happens. But the reality is that some plants are just difficult. This one, I think we might have it with this one. Feels so rooted, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull it out.
It's coming out the bottom.
Oh, it really is. Holy moly. Oh boy, what should I do?
Cut it.
Okay, cue the montage. That was precarious. Yep, we got something here. We go roots. The results, you just never know what you're gonna get. And that's why we do this, because we wanna play it safe. We don't wanna lose the whole plant. That defeats the purpose of what we're doing. I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that. It's definitely lower than I expected it to be. I did not expect it to root down here and not up here. Like these roots, I was looking at them and I'm like, those are definitely gonna go. And this has been 2, maybe 3 weeks that they've been in moss. This is the only one that decided it wanted to go. You never know. You just never know. Luckily we had 3 cracks at it and now we can move forward. We're going to put the moss back on that root because we don't think that these roots are significant enough to support the rest of the plant. So I just patched up the trellis a little bit. Another opportunity to show how this is done. What we saw was that it grew out of the bottom of the pot, so I'm gonna reuse one that I had already cut. That way this root that apparently wants to run can be free. So we're just gonna put our moss back in. And she goes. All right, so in conclusion, what did we learn? Not every plant is the same. Not every plant needs the same conditions for propagation. Nothing happens the way you think it should, and that confirms the no-cut method is for difficult plants when you don't want to take a risk. Give yourself the opportunity to walk it back and start over if you have to. We've shown that it can work with the Grazielae. We've shown that it can kind of work with the Syngonium. That one was probably just the wrong substrate. The perlite probably wasn't the right call. And we can show with a plant like this that others definitely say is difficult, that yeah, it definitely can be difficult, and being able to walk it back is the value in attempting to propagate this way. So I hope you learned something. I definitely learned something. We both learned something here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.